Crap, it's cold in the garage today. Whoa! So we're going to do this out of order because last time I did the footage for this, it glitched. So let's do a little something different this time. Instead of just a voiceover, I'm actually going to talk to the camera. I figured there are already hundreds of videos of me out on YouTube from the past 15 years, so I really shouldn't be too camera shy. My friend Melanie mentioned that I looked like a bit of a mad scientist in the video I did on oregano oil, and I replied, just a bit. And then I remembered that Jen had this lab coat from a Halloween costume from years ago, and I'm like, okay, I'm going full mad scientist on this. So a few weeks ago, I harvested sage from our garden and tried to distill some essential oil. This is the third time that I've tried to get oil from sage over the years. And this time I had enough sage for 3 2-liter batches, and I got about a milliliter of oil, which is better than the previous batches. I had done some research and read on the National Institute of Health site, which is a wonderful resource for these kinds of things, that ethanol works as a good solvent for distilling sage oil. And so I decided to put a little vodka in the boiling flask. It's targeting about 15 to 20% ethanol. When buying ethanol for essential oils, get the cheapest stuff you can find, or just go with Everclear. You can get it from a chemical supply house, but I use it in such small quantities that I just go with cheap vodka. However, do not ask the Ukrainian guy at the liquor store what the cheapest vodka is. He will not appreciate the question. Even after you explain that it isn't for drinking, ask me how I know. I'm getting Everclear next time. So ethanol boils about 78 degrees and water at 100. If you want to convert that to freedom units, go ahead. It isn't hard to get the ethanol to steam off before the water does. Otherwise, it's basically the same as steam distillation using water. If you're using water, don't use distilled water. It's a waste of time and energy, and it actually might be dangerous. Simple filtered water is enough. If you need to, you can let the filtered water sit for a day, and then that'll outgas all the chlorine, but I rarely bother with that, not for purposes of essential oils. If you do use distilled water, you need to add boiling salts to it. And you can buy commercial boiling salts, or you can just use table salt and baking soda. Just a pinch in goes a long way. If you forget to put boiling salts in it, the water might go supercritical before it boils. And then as the plant matter starts to sweat and that sweat drips down into the boiling flask, everything boils all at once, which causes the pressure to release really quickly. And you could blow your glassware all to hell. In my case, the thermometer stopper just popped out, blew across the room. Almost earned another badge for the fraternity of expensive sounds on that one. Filtered water is fine. A pinch of table salt, pinch of baking soda if you need it, if your water's especially soft. I don't know if it was the ethanol or the fact that I had just harvested the sage, but the boiling flask quickly turned green and nasty, bringing out my mad scientist cred, and the boiling flask collected a lot of solids. On the other side, the separatory funnel was getting weird. The non-liquid lipid part, I don't want to call it hydrosol because it's probably ethanol and not water, was cloudy and striating. There was a thin bead of oil at the top of the sep funnel, and then a clear section, and then a cloudy section, and then another clear section. I drained off each section at one point to give a test, see what it was, and the bottom clear section smelled like ecualyptol, which weighs 922 kilograms per meter cubed. The cloudy section smelled like camphor, which is 992, and the top section smelled like really nasty vodka, which is 789. I think the top section was just ethanol and traces of random stuff, maybe some residual oil. Without thinking about it, I put all of the non-oil stuff together, and then I realized it might be nice to have them separated. So I tried to do another distillation with two goals. A, lower the ethanol content, and 3, separate the camphor solution from the ecualyptol solution. I don't have the right glassware for this, so I bodged something together. I was just goofing around, so I didn't think to film it. I could have used a rotovap to recover the ethanol, but I don't have one. I ended up with 2 solutions that have a very different smell, different flavor profiles. It's cold in here, so I keep touching my nose. I'm pretty sure I got most of the ecualyptol and the camphor separated, but it's not anywhere near 100%. And yes, sage oil contains alpha and beta thojune, which causes a nasty intoxication. But Wikipedia says up to 6 milligrams a day is safe, and I'm dealing with micrograms. And no one is going to be drinking this, so no one's going to be tripping off sage oil, just using it to make the house smell nice. So after the steam distillation, I thought about doing a soxhlet extraction to see if that would yield anything interesting. I had a little bit of sage left in the garden that I hadn't harvested, and so I harvested it and set about doing a soxhlet extraction. Soxhlet extraction is a rather neat process. I use it for making motherwort tincture, which I take to help with my heart. You can do tincture in a little bottle like this. Just put ethanol or whatever solvent you're using, olive oil or whatever, in with the plant matter and let it sit for months. Or you can do a soxhlet style extraction and get the same thing done in a day or two. Rather than wasting months for the tincture to brew in a bottle, I like to do it this way. I also use it to make turmeric extractions, to make soap for my friend Trish. Turmeric is really supposed to help with her melanin-rich skin. Rather than use steam to lift the volatile compounds out, the soxhlet method drips the near-boiling solvent down on top of the plant and keeps it there for a while. So you put your solvent, whether it's water, ethanol, or whatever, in the boiling flask at the bottom, your plant matter in the vessel here, the steam from the solvent rises, goes up around the outside and drips down onto the plant matter. You've got a condenser here on top, which keeps any of the vapors from rising up and out. Everything just cools. If it gets up into the glass here, it cools and drips back down, cool water flowing outside the serpent. None of the vapor should ever leave the top, especially if you're using ethanol or anything like that. If you're running so hot that the vapor's getting out, you've got other serious problems going on. The fun part about soxhlet extraction is you can just let it run. You can start it up, and as the vessel fills up with the solvent, it reaches a tipping point, and after the tipping point, a siphon kicks in. That's this unit on this side, and it pulls all of the solvent and anything that's been extracted back down into the boiling flask. So I'll demonstrate that with this. So this is just water. Fill it in there. And this purple compound is a elderberry cough medicine that I like, just so you can see the color. So as the solvent drips down on top, the siphon over here kicks in and pulls everything out, back down into the boiling flask, and then the distilled solvent flashes off and repeats the cycle. So it gets thicker and thicker and denser in the boiling flask each time it runs, which is really cool. You can just let it run overnight or, for as long as you want until you get the extraction you want. To do the sage extraction, I minced up the sage, packed the vessel with some cotton and then the sage on top, and then used 150 milliliters of vodka for the solvent and turned it on and let it go. This is the final product of the soxhlet extraction. It's a lovely green color. It's got some thicker, cloudier stuff at the bottom that mixes up nicely. Not too thick. Again, mostly ethanol, mostly 40% ethanol, mostly vodka. Strong camphor and ecualyptol tones, and the other components of sage are present as well. That's the soxhlet extraction. This is the double distilled ecualyptol that I got out. You can see that even at room temperature, it's condensing at the top of the jar, which means it's pretty volatile in there. Probably mostly water, probably 10% ethanol maybe. Yep. Much more mild. This is the other stuff, but you can see how cloudy it is. Again, probably about 10% ethanol, mostly water. But there are some floaties in there. I've had this for about 2 weeks in there. There's some things congealing and floating in there. And I don't know if it's going to come across on camera, but there's a ring of what looks like a lipid that was sticking to the side of the bottle as well. And much more mild, much more earthy, but good strong fragrance on that one. Definitely will not come across on camera, but it's about that full of sage oil, and that's 3 years worth. So don't get much in the way of oil out of sage, try as I might. Very, very lovely smell. Very lovely fragrance, clean, bright. Just good. This is the sage after the soxhlet extraction. Pretty bleached out. I probably could have let it go for another couple cycles. It's not as bleached as I get with other plants, and I think I just didn't let it run long enough. But as you can see, it produced quite a strong extract. So what do you think? Do you like this format better? If so, let me know down in the comments below, or if you like the old way of doing things, only 5 videos in, let me know and we'll figure out what we need to do going forward. Like, subscribe, comment, do all the things. Thank you.